Pull-ups are one of the best back exercises, but with so many variations, how do you know which one deserves the top spot? That's why today we're ranking them on a tier list to find out which one reigns supreme. In order to understand how I'm ranking these pull-up variations, you need to understand my checklist. This checklist is going to determine how I rank each pull-up variation. We have stretch emphasis, which is going to be how much tension is at the stretch position in this variation of the pull-up. Then we have target muscle emphasis. So, is the desired muscle that you're training the first one to fatigue? Then we have progressive overload. Since pull-ups are already such a great exercise, you know that they all have the same progressive overload. You can either do them assisted using a resistance band or a machine. Personally, I recommend the machine because the resistance is going to be the same all the way up and down, where a band is going to give you the most help at the bottom of the rep in the stretch position where we want the most tension to be. You can also go in the other direction by doing just body weight variations of these pull-ups, or you can even add weight. So every variation of pull-up is super easy to progressively overload, so they pretty much all check that box. With that being said, let's see which one tops the charts. First, we have chin-ups. In this variation, your palms are going to be facing you, and it's going to put more emphasis on your bicep than a traditional pull-up would. But with more involvement of the biceps, that means that the back is going to have less involvement. It doesn't mean that it's not still working your back. Like I said in the beginning, all pull-up variations are great back exercises, but we're specifically talking about pull-ups within themselves. So as far as the different variations go, it doesn't work your back quite as much as the other variations would. The stretch for your lats on a chin-up is still great, but it's not quite as good as some of the other variations. That's why on our tier list, chin-ups earned the C tier spot. Next, we have the traditional shoulder length pull-up. With this variation, you can reach directly above your head, straight up from your shoulder, and grab the bar with your palms facing away. While you may not get the same bicep pump that you normally would when you're doing a chin-up, the traditional pull-up puts the bicep in a very stretched position at the bottom of the rep. It's also going to give a great stretch on your lats, so you'll feel a good pump in your biceps and your forearm along with your back with this variation. But personally for me, it does cause a little bit of elbow strain at the bottom of the rep. Personally, I do think this variation is better for building a back than a chin-up would be, so that's why this variation lands itself in the B tier spot. Next, we have the wide grip variation. If you want to have to walk sideways through doorways, then this is the variation for you.
I'm trying to fit through all these little tiny elf doorways.
The wide grip is going to reduce the involvement of the arms, and it's also going to place more emphasis on your back muscles, predominantly the lats, which is the main target when you're doing pull-ups, no matter which variation. With that being said, I don't feel quite as much of a stretch in the widened grip than I would in a traditional grip or even a chin-up grip. The range of motion is also shorter on the wide grip pull-up, not allowing you to go as far down. But the big benefit of this is that it's going to widen the back, which I think everybody is a fan of. That's why this variation earned itself the A tier spot on the list. Next up, we have neutral grip pull-ups. Neutral grip has a good mix of bicep, forearm, and back activation. Personally, for me, I feel the greatest stretch in this position. Your hands will be at a similar length apart than a traditional pull-up, but your palms will be facing each other inward. And even though every variation has very similar progressive overload in the way that you do it, I feel that I can more easily grow and progressively overload with this variation. I also feel a better mind-muscle connection with my lats when I have the neutral grip. The only one takeaway from this position is that your forearms may fatigue before your back does, which some people may see as a huge drawback. But that's one of the main driving factors of why I use wrist straps to make sure that my back is always the thing that's failing when I'm doing pull-ups. Even though it has this drawback, I'm still placing neutral grip pull-ups in the S tier position. I know not everyone's going to agree with me, but it has the feel-good factor. Out of all of the variations, it feels the best for me. The stretch feels the best, the contraction feels the best, and after I'm done doing a set, I truly felt like I could go to failure, and not every variation gives me that feeling. There's a ton of different variations of pull-ups not on this list, like towel pull-ups, L-sits, or even these weird side-to-side things. But in my personal opinion, unless you're training for Ninja Warrior, I don't think it's worth your time to do any variation other than these 4. No matter what variation of pull-ups I'm doing, I like to do 2 weighted sets and then 1 back down set to really increase the mind-muscle connection and the pump that I'm feeling, because everybody loves a good pump. It gives you the feeling like you really worked out that muscle. And while the feel-good factor and the pump might not lead to muscle growth, as long as you're using progressive overload, no matter what variation you're doing, you're going to be growing your back. What variation do you think deserves the S tier spot? Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.